Welcome to English 3E. This is week 9, unit 5, lesson 33, and we are talking about the culminating assignment today. I am Jillian Percy. I'm in the studio right now. If you want to call, 1-800-465-7144. The WASA office is 1-800-667-3703. I'll be there for about an hour after I finish this. You can fax your work at any time, 1-800-463-7852. You can send me an email at jillian.percy@nnecschools.org. You can also send a message to me at any time regarding your work, and I will reply as soon as possible. If you want to rewatch recording, we are on YouTube, capital G, capital P, ERCY, space, capital W, AHSA. Any assignments that you want to submit, go to student.work@nnec.on.ca. Do not just send it to me directly. I have to send it through them anyways. Also, make sure you create it as an attachment and put it into the email. Don't just put the work directly in there. It makes it trickier to print everything off. Make sure your assignments have your full name, your lesson number, your assignment name or number, plus what course. I get a lot of assignments. If I am not sure of where an assignment goes, I don't mark it right away. I wait until I can talk to the student because each assignment has a different marking scheme. So today we're going to be talking about the culminating assignment and exam prep. So the culminating assignment for this is 10% of your course grade, and it is worth 75 marks. And this activity will be the final one you are completing for the course. The task is as follows. You will have the opportunity to reflect upon the fictional reading selections examined during this course, involving a variety of characters and situations, including the workplace, and also nonfiction reading selections, which have focused mainly on preparations for the workplace. You will also be reflecting upon your own situation in life to the present time and being prepared for what the future holds. So there's two parts to this exam, to this culminating assignment. This is part A. Part A is personal assessment, education, and success, 25 marks. And they give us a quote: having a good education is a key to success in life. Based on your past experiences as a student in school, from what you have experienced more recently and what you now understand about being successful, do you fully agree with this statement? In approximately 3/4 of a page of writing, you are to comment on what it means to be successful and the role which education has played or plays for you. As a conclusion to your assessment, you are to mention whether or not you would like to continue on with your education at the post-secondary level, which is college or university, once you've completed high school. The marking scheme for this is 5 marks for a title page, which needs to include a picture or a sketch, your name, course and date. 8 marks for the rough copy. It must be handwritten and show some evidence of revising and editing. And then 12 marks for the final copy for a total of 25 marks. And for always, it's queuing me to sign back in again, so I will do that. Hang on. All right, there we go. So the previous slide is taken from your unit package, and let's break down what it means. First of all, this is essentially an opinion essay. Based on your past experiences as a student in school, from what you've experienced more recently, and what you now understand about being successful, do you fully agree with this statement? So first, they want to know your opinion. Do you agree or do you disagree that education is a key to success? Remember that you always have to give reasons for your opinion. And as always, you don't get marked on your opinion. It does not matter to me which way you decide. I'm only marking your ability to write about your opinion. It's totally fine to disagree with this statement. They want you to base your opinion on past experiences as a student, recent experiences, and what you now understand about being successful. This might be 1 paragraph, might be 2. And then they go on, okay? In approximately 3/4 of a page of writing, you are to comment on what it means to be successful and the role which education has played or plays for you. As a conclusion to your assessment, you are to mention whether or not you would like to continue with your education at the post-secondary level once you've completed high school. Again, it's totally fine to plan on not going on to get another level of education. Just state what you're planning to do instead. Working, getting another job, raising a family, traditional living, such as hunting, trapping, or fishing, or whatever else you've planned is fine. In other words, they want you to discuss, what does it mean to be successful? What role has education played? Do you want to continue your education after high school? Those could be 2 or 3 paragraphs, depending on how much you have to say about each item. So first of all, I wanted to cover success because I don't really like how they phrased that. I know what my opinion would be, but I don't want to sway you. However, these are other possible keys to success that are listed elsewhere, right? Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you are doing, you will be successful, Albert Schweitzer. The results you see will highly depend on your discipline in life. Consistency is the key to success. The key to success is action, and the essential in action is perseverance. The key to success is to focus on goals, not obstacles. The key to success is often the ability to adapt. Is wisdom the key to success? You may have in your mind a completely different key to success. And that's totally fine. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to realize not everybody thinks that education is the key to success or a key to success. You have to decide for yourself, okay? Which brings us to, what is success? You can define success on your own terms. Nelson Mandela says, do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. You can achieve your dreams at any age. Did you know that Harrison Ford at 30 was a carpenter? Vera Wang didn't design her first dress until she was 40. Even Captain Crunch joined the Navy at 50. Leslie Jones. Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. Albert Einstein. Everyone has a different definition of success. Make sure yours is your own. And I can't see the writer. Success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. Maya Angelou. Success is finding personal meaning and contentment in your life. For me, success is inner peace. That's a good day for me. Denzel Washington. So if education is or is not a key to success, you have to decide, well, what is success? I'm not super crazy about encouraging people to chase success personally. I firmly believe that we each have a personal definition of success for our life that is far more important than chasing any dreams of wealth, fame, and talent. So I wanted to share this video by Jamie Lee Curtis because she talks here about her stance on success. And she's someone by all accounts is considered extremely successful. Acted in so many plays films since she was young, makes all sort of money, is known all over the world. But those aren't what she considers her most important success. And these are just some of the movies that you might have seen her in. She's getting a lot older now, but she's been around for a long time.
Being sober is going to be a legacy for sure.
Yes.
Because you're stopping what has been a generational issue in my biological family. So for me, sobriety is the greatest, it will be the single greatest thing I do if I can stay sober.
Yeah.
I mean, this without question.
You will, yeah.
Because generations
Yeah.
of people have had their lives ruled and ruined by alcoholism and drug addiction. So for me, sobriety is sobriety first, always. Being sober is going to be a legacy.
Okay. So I just wanted to say that because, you know, we all define success differently. And here's this woman who's had so many different successes in so many ways. And yet that is the most important thing for her because she feels like it's changed the course of how her whole family goes. Right. So I think that's really cool. And I really appreciate her definition of success. Remember, for this assignment, you're going to continue to use the writing process to do this. So brainstorming and pre-planning. For this assignment, I would take each topic and kind of brainstorm my way around it. What does it mean to be successful? Money, happiness, good health, family, stability, work. Is education a key to success? If not, what is a key or the key? So a key would imply it's one element. The key would imply that it's like the most important element. What role or function has education had in my life? That's the question you're asking yourself. How has it helped? How has it hurt? Are there things that have happened that wouldn't have happened if education hadn't, gone well for you? What are my plans for the future? Remember as all this to include ideas, details, examples, and stories. And remember, this is for you. This part I don't see. You don't have to hand this in. So you might have a whole giant story about your Gookum and her definition of success, and you might just write down Gookum. And in your mind, you know what that means. That's fine for the pre-writing. It's not what you'd want to do for rough draft, but for pre-writing, that is just for you, okay? Rough draft is where I come in. This is a very personal topic, so only share as much as you are comfortable with. As always, I am looking at how you write. I'm not giving anyone less marks if you hate school and don't think it's a key to success. That does not matter to me. You just have to be able to explain what you think is important instead, and then give examples and reasons to support your opinion. After you finish your rough draft, be sure to go through all the steps for revision to make this the best essay you possibly can make it. Okay, so let's go through that. Review of the revision steps. First of all, as always, you check the actual content. Is it long enough? Is it on topic? Is it clear? Does it have enough details? And have I followed the format? So I wanted to kind of quickly talk about format. The format for an opinion essay, generally you kind of introduce and explain your main idea. You may start more general and then you kind of give your opinion on it. So for this one, this is about, this says, during the 20th century, people around the world began using vehicles powered by fossil fuels. And in this millennium, the trend has continued with a vast uptick in the number of privately owned cars. However, it has become apparent this phenomena is causing major environmental damage and needs to be stopped. This essay will argue that humans ought to switch to electric cars. So we gave you a quote to comment on. Think about what your opinion is and what your response to that comment is going to be. Okay. Then you're going to have several body paragraphs. I don't know exactly how many because I'm not the one creating it. You will have to decide. You might have one major idea with details to support it, a second major idea you want to discuss with details to support it, and possibly a third idea with details to support it. You don't have to, but you might. Concluding paragraph. Because of how they phrased it, they seem to be suggesting that the concluding paragraph will be based on the future that you envision for yourself. At least that's how I read it. If you read it differently, that's fine. I will take anything as long as it's kind of obviously something where you're wrapping up your discussions on the topic, right? Okay. Continued review of revision steps. Sorry. Check your sentence structure. Are there any sentence fragments? Are there any run-on sentences? Can you locate a subject and a verb in each sentence? Have you joined the sentences correctly, like with conjunctions, either subordinating or coordinating? Have you used transition words and phrases to help the flow from one sentence to the next one? Review of the revision steps. Check your grammar. Do the subject and the verb agree? So that would mean a singular noun gets a singular verb, a plural noun gets a plural verb. Have you used a consistent verb tense? A lot of time when we're writing, we use a past tense verb. It's just really common. It's okay to change it. Like in that one paragraph where you're talking about your future, you might suddenly be talking in the future tense, like I will do this, I would like to, I might do, all those kind of conditional words that suggest the future. And that's totally fine. But make sure the part that is talking about the past, that you continue to use the correct past tense verbs, okay? Have dependent clauses been joined to an independent clause with a subordinate conjunction and not just a comma? That's one of the biggest grammatical mistakes I see. Are there any places where it sounds awkward and confusing and needs to be written? That happens to me all the time. I write something and it makes perfect sense. And then when I go to read it, I'm like, huh, that's a little long. And now I think it's a little confusing. And I try and go back and sort of shorten it and make it easier to understand. Sometimes it's really clear in our head. When we go to write about it, it isn't always as clear. That just kind of is a natural thing, I think. Editing steps. Check your punctuation. Have you followed the rules for quotation marks? Have you followed the rules for commas? Have you used colons and semicolons appropriately? Is your end punctuation correct? Question mark, exclamation point, or a period. Do any apostrophes that you have, are they indicating belonging or contractions? They shouldn't really be used for anything else. There's a weird little thing with a quotation within a quotation, but I don't think that's really going to come up. I just wanted to point out, I think the spell check program does not like dashes because there are all sorts of words that to me are hyphenated or that I was taught are hyphenated that it constantly wants me to correct. And I was stubborn here and did not correct it because I think it's fine with a hyphen. So I apologize. All right, editing steps. Check capitalization. So these are all the things that have been capitalized. And I find most times we do okay with this. The one thing that I find is tricky for people is the one about I. I has to be capitalized. Even if you're using it in a contraction like I'll, I'd, I've, or I'm, you have to use the capital I, cannot be the lowercase I, because you're referring to a person. Okay. So you're using it almost like a name. So it has to be a capital. Okay. The beginning of each sentence is capitalized. The first word in a dialogue quote is also capitalized. So if you were quoting something somebody said to you, generally the first word is capitalized. The only exception would be if you were pulling a quote from like a newspaper article and you only wanted like the last half of a sentence because they were talking for a long time, and then you might put like dot 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 and then it would be a lowercase quote. But in general, you usually would have it as capital. Names have been capitalized, months and days have been capitalized, like January, October, Monday, Tuesday, all those things. They have to have a capital because it's the name. Place names have been capitalized. So Kenora, Sioux Lookout, Mishkeegaming, all those kind of things, they have to have a capital letter. Name titles. I wasn't trying to phrase that exactly, have been capitalized. These don't come up very often, but just in case, Mr., Mrs., Ms., Doctor, Sir, Dame. Again, because those are relating to a name, they all use a capital letter. Book, movie, and game titles have been capitalized. So if you were writing about playing Fortnite for some reason, it wouldn't be small f, it would be the capital F. If you were talking about the movie Avengers, it wouldn't be small a, it would be the big A. Complex and compound sentences do not use a capital letter in the middle where the two sentences join. Also, we do not use capitals in the middle of a word, okay? Editing steps. Check your spelling. Use your spell check. Make sure easily mixed up words have not been used incorrectly. So for example, loose to lose, than to then, past meaning go by, or past meaning in history kind of thing. Choose versus chose, accept versus accept. And the other common problem would be with homophones. Homophones sound the same, but they're spelled differently because they mean something different. So light meaning illumination versus light meaning low calorie. Night like a medieval guy in armor versus night like it's dark. Right like you're correct versus right like with a pen or a pencil. Road meaning a street versus road like in a rowboat. Oh, that one lost a letter there. There, which is like belonging, their location, and their like the contraction. And then it's, which would be possessive. versus its, which would be the contraction of it is. Okay. So don't only rely on spell check. And remember, we do have an exam coming up. You do want to spend a little bit of time practicing to make sure that you know how to catch spelling mistakes, because you won't really have spelling check during the exam. Okay, guys? This is a quick list of commonly misspelled words. Some of the common issues are putting one C instead of two C's, putting one L instead of two L's. Things like acquire or acquit. A lot of times people drop the C and just put the Q. Sometimes we aren't sure, changeable. Do we leave that E there or do we not? These are some really common ones. I'm trying to think if there's anything unusual with this. Rhythm. Oh my gosh, that word used to just drive me crazy. I could never figure out how to spell it. Weather versus weather. This is weather like the choice. This is weather like it's foggy outside. Beautiful. A lot of times people forget the A or the U. Psychology. Again, you don't hear the P. Sometimes people aren't sure about the S or the Y. So this is just one to check and see if you know you have common mistakes with this. Like, for example, for some reason, I continually forget how to spell occasionally. I can never remember, is it two C's? Is it two S's? Is it two L's? Sometimes we have something we just kind of, our brain has just kind of stored it in a funny way, and we have to kind of just keep remembering, oh, check that one. All right, nothing unusual there, I don't think. Okay, part B of the culminating essay, culminating activity, is an essay called My Community, My Home, and it's going to be worth 50 marks. So from time to time, you have most likely heard and have spoken the expressions that there is no place like home, or home is where the heart is. These expressions have been with us for a long time, and they certainly stir up fond memories and warm feelings of where we were born, where we have grown up, and or where we are now. On occasion, for some people, the place where they have grown up, at least, does not mean fond memories and warm feelings. You are to develop an essay using the steps of the writing process, keeping this theme in mind. It will be a discussion of your journey from the time you were born until now, with the focus being on your home community. In your essay, you will be describing memories and feelings you've had of your home community and your place in it. Do you see yourself remaining at home, or do you see yourself moving on at some point to discover new things? In your essay, you will also comment on what you would like to see happening in your home community in the future and why it would be important for the residents. The essay length. The draft or the rough copy is supposed to be 2 pages handwritten. The final copy should be a computer printout, and you need to use size 12 font. 5 marks is going for the title page, which needs to include a picture of a sketch. Could be a picture of you, picture of your community, picture of your family. You want to put your name, the course, ENG 3E, and the date. 20 marks for the draft, which is the rough copy. It must be handwritten. There must be some evidence of revising and editing, like things crossed off, words rewritten. And then 25 marks for the final copy, which to me is where I would look for more editing marks. Overall, you're getting 50 marks for that entire essay. Okay, let's see here. Oh, this just goes over the entire thing. Part A, 5 marks for the title page, 8 marks for the rough draft, 12 marks for the final copy. Part B, 5 marks for the title page, 20 marks for the rough draft, 25 marks for the final copy, and out of 50. Altogether, this is worth 75 marks, and it ends up being 10% of your overall mark for the course. So let me kind of break that down so you know what that means. So let's say I finish the essay and I get, part A gets 20 out of 25. And let's say part B, I get 30 out of 50. So now my total is 50 out of 75. Okay. And then that's going to be 10% of my mark. So I would need to change that into percentage. 50 into 75, and I can't do it in my head. I'm sorry, I'm not that great at so 50 divided by 75 is 66 or 67%. So for my 10% of that, 6.7, I don't know how specific they are. 6.7 out of 10 would be contributed to my main mark. Okay. So it fundamentally is worth more than most of your other assignments, not including the exam. Okay. So everyone's journey will be different. You may have very fond memories of home, or maybe not so fond memories of home, or mixed memories. Again, I'm always looking for how you write. Which side you choose does not matter as much as how you discuss it matters. So, for example, I have some very fond memories of my hometown, but I have some pretty negative ones too. And although I miss my hometown, a part of me feels like my real life didn't really begin until I left it and felt like I could decide for myself who I wanted to be without my family's input. Yet, I feel pretty sure that I will end up back in my hometown someday. I remember talking to a friend who had moved quite a way. And after he finished working, he moved back home. And he was like, when I was younger, all I could think about was getting away and trying something new. And I didn't realize that as I got older, that my heart would call me to want to go back home. So sometimes how we feel about our hometown can change over the years too. I can think of all sorts of things that might improve my hometown, things that might have made my life easier or the lives of other residents easier or healthier or more enjoyable. Don't worry about how realistic it is or how much money it might cost. That's not your part. Your part is just to dream, right? Just dream. If things could be different, what would you wish would be different? This one is meant to be a longer essay than the previous one. It still follows the writing process. That's the hard part is it just doesn't take as long for a shorter piece that you're going to revise than it does for a longer piece. It has a narrative and basically an autobiographical focus. So you're telling a story, but you're telling the story about your own life. You're retelling your past and maybe a little bit about the community's past, right? Because that's going to affect your past as well. But also imagining a possible future. So you'll want to be mindful of the narrative structure or the story structure as you begin to put your essay together. Remember, a narrative structure exists for both fictional and non-fictional, okay? It just means that you're telling a story and often in chronological order, although not always. But generally, narrative stories start with introducing the setting and the characters. And then in the middle, we often look at different events with an eye to what obstacles were overcome or what lessons were learned, what conflicts or problems did we face. If you're older, you may have to make more decisions on what to include and what to leave out because you've just lived more life, right? You're going to have to pick what you feel is important. Now, it doesn't matter what anyone else feels is important, right? I'm not going to ask anyone else's opinion. It's what you feel is important. You're free to leave out things that you don't want to discuss and free to include things that might be very minor to other people, but that you think is important, right? You will want to explain or describe the events that brought you to your present day life. And then you will want to look at your possible future and the future of your community. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit because I think if you've never really thought about, your life in that way, it can be a little bit overwhelming to think about how to talk about it. But I firmly believe that we all tell ourselves a story about our own lives, even if we aren't always aware we're doing it. And the stories that we tell can change how we view ourselves. I wanted to kind of quickly, I think I've got time still to go over here because this kind of talks about what I wanted to discuss here. This is an interview with a lady called Emily Esfahani Smith. She wrote a book called The Power of Meaning. And this is an interview kind of about the basic concept. And she says that one of the ways we can live a more meaningful life is through storytelling or the story you tell yourself about yourself. If each of us is the author of our own stories, how can we shape our own narratives in a way that is constructive, true, and hopeful? And her answer is that we are all storytellers, whether we realize it or not. We all tell stories about who we are, where we came from, where we're going, and why things happen the way they do. There is the grand story of our life, the myth we tell about how we came to be the person we are. And there's also the stories we tell ourselves on a day to day basis about the smaller events in our lives. Let's say you receive an email from your boss that says urgent in the subject line, and the body of the email reads, "Call me immediately." How do you interpret that email? What sort of story do you tell yourself about why your boss wants to talk? The psychologist Dan McAdams has studied the stories people tell about the whole arc of their lives. And in his research, he found that people leading meaningful lives tell stories defined by redemption, growth, and love. So, for example, getting fired was terrible, but it helped me discover my true calling as a nurse, helping others. People who believe their lives lack meaning tend to tell what he calls contamination stories, where the good is ruined by the bad, like I got my dream job, but then it made my marriage fall apart. Decades of research into cognitive behavioral therapy and narrative psychology has shown that people can indeed change their stories to tell ones that move them forward rather than hold them back, all while still respecting the facts. If you're telling a negative story about your life, you can ask yourself what evidence there is for that story and whether there is any evidence that would change the story you're telling. And the reason I'm kind of talking about this was, at one point in my life, I dropped out of school. I was taking university, I was doing my master's, and I was really, really unhappy. And I dropped out and I felt so bad. I felt like I'd failed. I felt like I'd let my family down, all that money spent for nothing. And I really kind of drifted for a few years and wasn't sure what to do with myself. And what I had thought I was going to do was in ashes. And I probably was out of work, or just kind of at a loss for quite a few years. And then eventually I found myself at a bookstore working, and then discovered a lot of teachers happened to be, or teacher students happened to be working there, and thought, oh, I'm going to go, I like this. Maybe I'll try teaching. And that changed the course of my life, right? So something that seemed negative ended up being something that was sort of pivotal for becoming a whole new person. And I wanted to say this because I know some people may be at a spot in their lives where you're looking around and thinking, oh, this is not where I hoped to be. This is not what I wanted. And it could be easy to want to tell a story that's negative and where you think that you've maybe failed or something. And I don't want anybody to go into this essay thinking that way about their own lives, right? Think about wherever you are right now. The fact that you're doing this course and that you're working towards something means that you still have all sorts of determination and hope and optimism to make your life what you are dreaming it can be. And I hope that when you do this, that you reflect on the positive parts of your life, not just focus on the negative parts. Because I know it can be really easy sometimes for us to focus on the negative. And I know sometimes when I was raised, like it was almost thought to be like a bad thing when I was a kid to say positive things about yourself. It was like you're being too proud or too stuck up. I think that's kind of the main thing I wanted to get across from this. But I just wanted to write that to anybody else who might have been raised the same way, where we were never supposed to say anything good about ourselves because it was like almost like it would bring bad luck. So in this story, you get to tell the story of your life how you want to tell it. Okay. And I hope that you will be able to tell your story in a positive fashion. Um, the writing process, we just walked through all the writing process steps for part A. You will absolutely need to use them again for part B. Sorry, I'm about to cough here. Hang on a second. Okay. Um, I'm going to move on and I'll come back to this in a second. But anyways, if you get finished all your assignments and you are ready to take the exam, if you have a learning center in your community, let the person in charge there, the DEC, let them know that you're ready to take the exam. Or you can send me an email at jillian.percy@nnec.on.ca. And I will check and confirm that all your assignments have completed. You don't want to take the exam before your assignments are completed because the exam taking like ends the course. So always we'll check and make sure everything's been done. If they are all done, then I will message the DEC and they will arrange with you when to take the exam and how to take the exam and all that. Now, if you're in a community that does not have a DEC, because I know we have a lot of those, then message me and let me know and I'll talk to my boss and we'll figure out what we can arrange in that situation, okay? Okay, exam outline. So if you get finished the culminating assignment, then you've finished everything and you'll be able to write the exam. This is a rough outline for the exam. And remember that the exam is worth 20% of your overall mark for the course. So section A, you have an analysis of some nonfiction. So an article that you read and you respond to with various questions. And then section B is my journey. You're writing a paragraph about your journey. Hint, hint, all this work we're doing on the culminating activity will really help you. Section C, setting out, that is about the job search process, and that is worth 20 marks. And altogether, the exam is worth 60 marks. Okay, so this is just a quick review of your overall course marks. All the unit assignments get added together and they are assigned a percentage. The maximum they could be if you got perfect on every single one is 70%. The culminating activity, the one we just talked about, part A, part B of those two essays, that is worth 10%. And then the final exam is worth 20%. We total it, whatever you've got. And again, if you got perfect on every single thing, that'd be 100%. Okay. This is actually in the course calendar, although I don't know if everyone has seen the course calendar, so I wanted to reproduce it here. These are the Ontario levels of achievement. I don't decide these. This is the provincial decision on what they all mean. So I have split it up into D, C, B, and A, okay? Sometimes you get used to seeing levels. This was a big thing for a while. I don't know if people still are used to seeing it. D corresponds to a level 1, C is a level 2, B is a level 3, and A is a level 4. If you get below 50%, it will mean that you have not passed the course and you'll need to redo it. Okay. Level 1 minus is 50 to 52%. Just a straight 1 is 53 to 56. 1 plus is 57 to 59. 2 minus, 60 to 62. 2, 63 to 66. 2 plus, 67 to 69. 3 minus, 70 to 72. 3, 73 to 76. 3 plus, 77 to 79. 4 minus is 80 to 86. 4, 87 to 94. 4 plus, 95 to 100. So B is what is considered the provincial standard. That's what we're, I didn't mean to do that. All right, anyways, what we're aiming for. But as long as you get a D, you pass this course and it counts as a credit and you can use it. That's all you have to worry about. If you're heading to university or to college, though, they will look at your actual marks, and some places, like especially universities, may look at your average of what you got. Now, your grade 12 marks are more important than your grade 11 marks, but it's just something to be mindful of if college and university is in your future, okay? Plagiarism reminder. Please remember, it is not okay to share any exam materials with other students, including telling them about the questions. It's not okay for you to use any work given to you by another student to substitute as your own on the exam. Plagiarism is treated as a very serious offense. Concern that this issue will be brought to the principal for consideration, and he will determine an appropriate course of action. Please don't risk it. If you've gotten this far in the course, I promise you will do just fine on the exam. I don't think the exam is hard. I think it's an accurate reflection of what we've practiced And if you've done well in these assignments, you're going to do well in the exam. You'll be fine. I do know that some students find test taking stressful, but this really is a fair test. Even if you have a bad day or like you tend to panic during exams, I know some people do, and it doesn't go well, don't worry. It's only one part of the overall grade. I have every faith in your ability to do a great job in the exam. I am looking forward to seeing them and I can't wait to mark them. Exam prep. Okay, so if you're worried and you're feeling like, okay, I want to practice or I want to study, here is the things that you would need to know. So you will be successful with the writing section in this exam if you know how to write in an appropriate paragraph format, if you know how to use the writing process to do a writing assignment, if you know how to make revisions between a rough draft and a final draft, if you know how to compose the 3 main sentence structures, simple, compound, and complex, if you know how to edit your own work for spelling, punctuation, and capitalization errors, and if you know how to write in a variety of formats, narrative, summaries, opinions, and business documents such as cover letters and resumes, which we've done, right? So like I'm saying is the writing is just testing your ability to do stuff that we've already done, okay? Reading. You will be successful with the reading in this exam if you know how to read a wide variety of materials, if you can answer questions about the main idea and find specific details in a text, if you can offer and explain your opinion on something you've read, if you can use inference and read between the lines to explain ambiguous phrases or commentary in a piece of text, if you're able to prioritize the important details in a text and figure out what's important versus what's not important, if you are able to demonstrate your understanding of a text by summarizing an article you have read effectively in a paragraph format. You can use connections to your own life, other texts, and the world to help you understand what you read. And if you can think about and discuss the message behind a text you read. And if you are wanting to practice those things, in all honesty, I would take an article, read some things, ask yourself some questions, sit down with a friend and ask each other questions, not just details, but like thought questions like, hey, what do you think his main message is? Or what do you feel is the most important thing in this article? You know, who is the audience? Who is, what's the purpose behind this? All those kind of things you could ask about an article just to practice, basically. As far as like writing skills go, you're going to want to look at things like sentence structure, punctuation, especially commas and quotation marks. Those are the 2 things that I think are trickiest to use in punctuation. How to compose a paragraph or paragraph format, and how to shorten or fix up a run-on sentence. Those are the things that if you have the skills to handle those in writing, then you're going to do fine, in all honesty. So remember, channel your inner Liam Neeson. And here he is, you know, the movie Taken, and he's making that kind of threatening phone call. Well, here he is, but he's writing exams. I have a very particular set of skills. I will find your questions and I will answer them. And we also have our buddy here in the spirit of Halloween, our favorite Ghostbuster. Hey, you over there, you can rock this test. I have absolute faith in you guys. Okay. How are we for? Okay. Oh, this was our photo essay. I did want to show this. I don't know if I had a chance. I think I was kind of short on time. Just because this was a really cool site called Narwhal. And not only was it talking about how to save the southern habitat, let me see if there's a menu because I wanted to show you this. News. Hang on a second. Oh, that's right. It wouldn't let me. Okay. Please go check out that site. There was really interesting stuff on there that I thought you would really, really enjoy. Oh, autumn themed idioms to try and complete. This goes
Once everything's perfectly organized, I'll start working on my thesis.
What we were talking about the other day about, or just now, being able to handle ambiguity. Idioms are one example of ambiguity. right? So there's all sorts of these kind of videos here. Take a look at these kind of things to practice understanding idioms or understanding ambiguity, okay? So here's an example. I decided to take a leap out of my colleagues' something and started waking up early to be more productive at work. Out of a blanket, out of his books, out of his boots, or out of his book. Out of his book. To take a leaf out of someone's book is to imitate them. Okay. I was going to go on. Sentence number 2. The something and murk hung heavily over the lake, creating an eerie atmosphere as the day began. The something, mist, rust, or gust. I'm going to go with mist. Yeah, mist and murk. Oh, I like that. Rust wouldn't happen, and gust doesn't make any sense because gust can't hang. We'll do one more, then we'll go back. Sentence number 3. After a good night's sleep and a hearty breakfast, I felt as right as something and ready to tackle the day's challenges, as root, as pepper, or as rain. Right as rain. I have no idea why. I don't understand how would rain be right, but that's what makes it an idiom, right? The whole concept is that it's not easy to figure out from its literal words. Okay, so that's one thing you could do to practice. Hang on a sec. Oh, I thought this was really good too. Hang on, this is a really cool site I found. This is from the University of Victoria, and it had a whole bunch of different grammar things that you could look at, practice the lessons and stuff. So for example, if I click on sentence structure, I can look at simple sentences, compound or complex, and there's little lessons you can do. Okay, this gives you a lesson. There was little exercises. Hang on. Where did the exercises? Oh, hang on, continue with the exercise. This is the part that I thought was helpful. Select the simple sentence which has a subject verb pattern. My oldest daughter is a student and teaches math part-time. A student's life is not easy. Well, it's not that one because there's only one verb. Being a student can be very stressful at times, especially during final exams. No, my friend's daughter is a nursing student. This is the only one that seems to have a verb. It is, and then teaches. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Select the simple sentence which has a subject verb pattern. So again, it's going to have 2 verbs. So the blueberry pie and oatmeal cookies were delicious. Nope. The cakes at this bakery are expensive but delicious. Nope. He is a chef and specializes in seafood dishes. That has 2, I think, because is a verb and specializes is a verb. She is going to bake a cake or some cookies for her family this afternoon. Nope. So it's going to be C. So this is the kind of thing where you could easily just kind of go through, practice. It tells you right away whether you're right or wrong. Let me see about the compound sentences. Exercise 1. Okay. Identify the answer that is incorrect. This is great stuff. The pipe was leaking. We called a plumber. The pipe was leaking, so we called a plumber. The pipe was leaking, for we called a plumber. So what one is correct? I think it's B. No. Yeah. Oh, it's incorrect. I'm looking for which one is incorrect. This one. Okay. I got mixed up there. Okay. Identify the answer that's incorrect. I will help you for my work is finished. I will help you, semicolon, my work is finished. I will help you, my work is finished. I will help you, comma, my work is finished. We can't join a sentence with a comma. Okay. So this is a great little site to go and practice some of your grammar. It tells you the answers right away, and it explains why the answer is right or wrong. So if you're nervous about that part of the course, that is a great spot. And other than that, really, all the writing that you're doing for the culminating essay is really your prep for the exam. Okay. If you do well with that, which I think most people by this stage will, then you'll do fine with the exam. Okay. So that is really it. We are finished all the lessons in the course. And this course is still open if you're an independent learner right up until June. And you are still able to call me at any point in time over the year. I'd be happy to talk to you. You can send me emails if you have any questions. At any point in time, I would be happy to discuss things and help you get the assignments done. Okay. Give me a phone call. Thank you so much for listening over the last 9 weeks, and I hope you are successful in the course. Thank you.